another foundering car now from the zc33s, Suzuki Swift Sport, for those that are not into the codes. And I also will compare it to my Abarth 595 Turismo that I got. So this is a 2021 model, the Suzuki Swift, and the Abarth is a 2015 model. And I will compare it, show you what's similar and also what's better in one car or the other. So you might already know my Suzuki Swift Sport quite a bit, and the Abarth is a little bit newer, so I will tell you first why I got it. So I wanted a car that gave a little bit of the convertible cabrio feel, but still could seat 4 people, because I'm a father of 2 children and I have a wife. So you need at least a 2+2 configuration. And then I also wanted something that was a little bit additional, because Suzuki Swift Sport is already a very nice hot hatch. Abarth also makes very nice hot hatches. And there were some other contenders, and I will just note them off. I looked at the Pluriel, C3 Pluriel of Citroën, but I don't like the looks that much. I also think it's rubbish that they have these pillars that you can remove, because you can never stick them somewhere. And it makes the car a lot less rigid, which is rigidity is good for turning into corners, etc., and also crash protection. So no Pluriel. There's also Citroën the DS3, which also comes in the cabrio, similar to the Abarth, but I think the DS3 is a faster type of car, but for a convertible feel, I don't think that you need that much speed. So that's one. So the DS3 cabrio, I know that they also have racing in the coupe form, so the normal hatchback, and I don't know that they have that with the cabrio. But even so, I think that they offer a cabrio with 155 horsepower, which is not as fast as the Abarth. And why is that? The Abarth comes with 160 horsepower and is a lot lighter. Also, I think it's much more special branding type of car. DS is now also a separate brand, so it could be that they also have their own niche. But I think Abarth is just a lot more special, even though it's just a rebadged Fiat 500 with a lot of additional things into it. Another thing is that I like the sound of an Abarth very much. Abarth has a really good soundtrack. Also, they made a lot of exhaust systems, so they are very good at that. And now that we are on the verge that we go to electric, I wanted to celebrate this internal combustion engine one more time. And the Abarth is a lot lighter. So also the DS3 seats up to 4 people, I think, in the convertible configuration. Maybe even 5. Then the DS3 is a lot more roomier. It's a class higher. The DS3 could be more compared to this Suzuki Swift Sport. And there's also a Mini that you could look into, but they have 2 seats that are very cramped, and they also, when once the roof is closed in the Mini convertible, you have extremely little room at the back. And my children are already in the teenage years, so it's very hard for them to just be there and sit comfortably. Whereas with the Abarth, you still have the 500 functionality, because this is all capped, and you only have the sliding roof. So that's it in a nutshell. And also the Abarth came with an automatic. My wife likes automatics a lot more, and this has this flipper system as well at the back of the steering wheel. So that can make the interaction very nice. A little bit like the 911 GT3 RS that I drove, which also had this flipper system in the as a functionality. So I liked it a lot. The additional benefit is also that you could have more functionality if someone has trouble shifting all the time, or you have an injury that makes it harder for you to shift. So that's it in a nutshell. And also the Abarth came with leather seats and the special feel of the Abarth. Also all those badges, I think it's perfect. Then why would you get an Abarth if you already have another 1.4 liter turbo hot hatch like the Suzuki Swift Sport? Good question. The Abarth gave this functionality of convertible, which this car does not, and also a lot more sound. This sounds already very good, but it's even a little bit better, and it looks very classy. So if you want a car to keep with, this car is almost the lightest, if not the lightest, sporting cabrio that you could get. That's the reason why I got the Abarth. So then, what's the purpose of this Suzuki Swift Sport if you already have an Abarth? Suzuki Swift is one segment higher, so a roomier car, a lot more practical, so to say, and a true hatchback, so you can move bigger items with the Suzuki Swift Sport, and also when you pick up, for example, the children, this is a lot more roomy and also easier, especially when it's raining. You don't. The Abarth is a two-door and has a sedan-like trunk. This is a 5-door, so you have four doors at the front and one at the back for a complete hatch. And also, if people need to get in or out of the car, this can be a lot more quick in the Suzuki Swift Sport as compared to the Abarth. Also, Suzuki Swift Sport is extremely reliable. Suzuki's and Japanese cars in general are very reliable. Also come with a lot of warranty out of the fabric, so that's a good thing to have, in my opinion. Whereas Abarths are Italian cars. I'm not saying that they are unreliable, but there's a different level of reliability. Also, it's an older car. This is a quite new car. Last point, the Suzuki Swift Sport has a lot of functionality added to it. So you have a reverse camera. Abarth only has parking sensors, and it also has cruise control, which the Abarth does not have. It also has anti-collision warnings, also the side collision warnings at the back, and you have a 6-speed manual, which I like a lot, so you have both. Another thing to consider with the Suzuki Swift Sport is that you get better gas mileage, but yeah, of course it will be more expensive to keep two cars than just one. So that is just something to consider for your own. If you would tune both cars, so the Turismo 160 horsepower, this starts with 129 horsepower, but if you tune them, they both go towards 170, 180 horsepower. Also, both go to about 300 Newton meters. I think on average the Abarth will have in the stage 1 tune a little bit more Newton meters, and the Suzuki Swift Sport might get a little bit more horsepower. That's a funny thing, because it already has 160 horsepower as claimed by Abarth, so it's not that much to be gained there. It's the same gain that you get with the 135, 140 horsepower Abarth engines. So this is those are a little bit detuned as compared to the 160, you could say, or the 160 already has quite a chip tune. A benefit, however, on the Abarth, that it has two chips, so two ECU systems steering the computer. So you have your normal economy, comfort setting, and then you have the sport button, and then you get additional boost level especially, and also you get higher revs until the the red line appears, and also when the automatic is shifting if you do put it in automatic mode. Abarth comes with a 5-speed MTA, which is a robotized manual, so to say, but it does it in an automatic way, but you can still flipper and shift with these flippers behind the steering column. What to say? If you look at the performance, of course the Abarth starts standard with more horsepower, although the 160 horsepower is not always reached. Sometimes they only have 145 or 150 horsepower in reality, but a chip tune can then solve that again. But if you would tune them to the same horsepower, then the Suzuki Swift Sport will be faster. And why is that? Because in the segment higher it should be a heavy car, also battery acid in it, should be heavier, but it is not heavier. It's about 70-ish kilograms lighter than the Abarth convertible, which is Still only marginally more heavy than the normal regular abarths. With many a cabrio convertible you get a lot of additional weight, sometimes 200 kilograms or 300 kilograms can be added for the complex facilities, and you also have to stiffen everything. But with abarth you have the remaining construction intact. You only have a roof that slides very deeply and then folds away with a back window, so to say, a rear window. So if you consider that the Swift Sport is lighter and you get similar horsepower, you can imagine that you get better acceleration times. Another thing to consider is that the MTA of abarth is a little bit slower than a manual, also a little bit heavier. Not that much again, but it is a little bit heavier. And in manual mode you can shift a lot faster with those flippers, of course, but if you let automatic do it itself, it will also disrupt the engine longer than you would do if you would shift in the Swift Sport. And the Swift Sport also comes with 6 gear ratio, so you can have a closer power band. Engines are quite similar. The funny thing is, normally Japanese engines are more revvy, but this Swift Sport engine is a little bit less revvy as compared to the abarth engine, which is a funny thing. Abarth comes also with a BMC air filter system and a record Monza exhaust. This comes with the HKS exhaust, so I think that also will settle a lot. And also the BMC filter is just part of the Turismo package. The record Monza is normally not delivered on the standard on the Turismo, but this is on the Competizione, which is normally a little bit faster. But in the generation that I got the abarth, so in the later generation, Competizione is like 180 horsepower, and Turismo is like 165, but now the Turismo is like 160, and also the Competizione in this generation that I got the abarth of. So that's it, I think, in a nutshell. So for practical drives, I would recommend still the Swift Sport. Also, I like the driving engagement of the manual transmission. But with the flippers, abarth is such a hoot and such a nice car. So for nice trips, also with the hood with the roof down, you have such a nice experience. It feels like you're at the beach with a lot of wind blowing through your hair, and also the sun is shining on you. It's a very nice experience. And oftentimes when the beach is blowing that hard, you don't get that much sun, but with the driving wind you get that. And I also really liked the B-tone color. So it has the abarth is black on top and then separated by a red line, and then below that is again white. I really like that. And why the Turismo instead of the Competizione of that generation? Now the horsepower is similar. I could get the Turismo also with the record Monza exhaust, so also that benefit is there. And the Turismo is a little bit more luxurious, so it's better for long trips, etc. I do quite a lot of long trips, so you also gain that. And the suspension is also upgraded, like the Competizione, but a little bit less harsh. And already abarths are quite harshly damped, so that's the thing why I did that. So for a convertible, I don't think you should need the most purest and performance derivative translation of that generation of abarth in this case, because if you would get that, you would go for the manual in my opinion, and also the Competizione in the coupe, so not the cabrio version of the 595C. And yeah, that's it, I think. A cabrio should be a little bit comfortable as long as it can be. It should still steer very nicely, because then you have all the interaction. And I think for me the abarth will not be about outright performance. It should be a nice side product, and it has quite a good performance. It has very nice performance, I might add. But it's more for me something that is an experience. You want to have maximized experience, and therefore also the record Monza exhaust, the leather interior, the red accents also in the interior, and the roof that can slide down, so that you have the convertible experience, which adds enormous amount of benefit without sacrificing a lot, because it has a lot of the functionality. If you would have the hoods closed at the back, the trunk closed, and then you have something that separates the trunk with the window, then the amount of room that you can fit into this Abarth 595C is the same as with the 595 non-convertible. Only the mount is so that you don't have the hatchback functionality that you can lift it entirely, so you have a narrow mouth of the trunk. So that's the limitation, especially. And with that you get a convertible roof, and which I think you might in some conditions be able to carry bigger stuff in the Abarth convertible than in the Abarth non-convertible. Why is that? If you open the roof, you can fit in quite big items just on the back seat. And also the backseat passengers have the same functionality and even more headroom, especially if you open the roof. Foundering Car is closing this little video. I hope you really like it. I'm a performance car enthusiast, so perhaps my opinion will help you a lot if you have a similar affiliation. Foundering Car, out! In this video will give you a very short recap of the benefits of the Abarth over the Suzuki Swift Sport hybrid that I have. One is there's steering wheel flippers for the automatic transmission that you can also do manually. 2, the most important one, it has a convertible roof. 3, it looks phenomenal and timeless. 4, it gives you a little bit more of a luxury experience because all of the leather. The functionality of the Suzuki Swift Sport is very nice, but this is just a different ambiance, and I think those are the main attributes. But I will tell you one more, which is also very important. It has a fantastic sound with the record Monza exhaust. Abarths already sound very nice. It's also different era and without gasoline particle filters. So those are the 5 points that really set the Abarth 595C Turismo that I have apart from the Suzuki Swift Sport hybrid zc33s. Foundering Car, out! So in this video I will give you a short recap of the benefits of the Suzuki Swift Sport hybrid as compared to the Abarth 595C, so the convertible Turismo that I also have. 1, it is a lot more roomy, you have a hatchback functionality, and 2, a lot more practicality, you have 5 doors and more room. 3, it is even lighter, enormously high tech. 4, it has a nice 6-speed manual transmission, whereas the Abarth comes with a MTA, so robotized manual transmission with steering flips, which is also nice, but this is the purest way, the manual transmission. 5, it's a car with a lot of luxury. So the Abarth gives you the luxury feel with the leather upholstery, etc. But this is a real luxury. You have all the electronic gadgets that the Abarth has with additional cruise control. You also get better seats, in my opinion, from the shape of it. You get heated seats, which Abarth also does not have. You get cruise control, I already mentioned that, but also you get a rear view camera system, which is very nice. 5-door functionality is also a really luxury type of thing, and you got a lot more room in the back as well. Also luxury in my opinion. And you have also anti-collision warnings, etc. Automatic lighting is also something the Suzuki Swift Sport has and the Abarth does not. Foundering Car, out! So in this video I will zoom into those that did not make it. So I bought a convertible and I needed some specification. One of the specifications I really needed, that it could seat up to 4 people, because I'm from a family of 4, I have 2 children and a wife. And I also wanted it to be sporting, nice, experienced type of car, instead of just a big, heavy, bulky car that many convertibles have. And I wanted to have as much practicality for the limited size that it has as possible. So it became the 595C Abarth, and there were some runner-ups that were also considered. The Citroën C3 Pluriel, it also has this roof arrangement, And you can even take away these pillars, so you want to have a complete convertible type of experience. But for my opinion, the Abarth has enough. Also, these removable side pillars make it a lot less rigid, so a lot less stiff, which is a drawback. And also you have, you can nowhere steer those, nowhere store those pillars, so you have to keep them at home. And once you don't get hit by, for example, unexpected rain, you're just not there. You're not able to do anything about it. So you will just sit in the bathtub. It has for seating the position for 4, which I like. So that's it. Another thing is that C3 Plug-EL is not as sportive. The fastest version had a 1.6 110 horsepower naturally aspirated engine, and the Abarth has a 1.4 turbo with 106 horsepower, the one that I got stock. So, and also the Plug-EL is heavier. If you look at it, there also is a DS3, which is a bigger car altogether. So newer generation, especially not as functional as the C3 might be of the same generation, because that comes with 5 doors. But the thing is with the DS3 is that it's a bigger car, so you win a lot of room. Also, that's the same system as the Abarth has with the sliding roof, so you also have all those practicalities. And it can be had with a 1.6 liter turbo engine, so that's could be if you are good after racing, but I don't think you can get the racing, which has 207 horsepower. 1.6 is like 155 horsepower top. So if that's the case, the Abarth is still faster. Abarth also comes with this flipper system, so you have an automatic transmission but with the flippers, which I like a lot. And also the credentials of an Abarth gives me a more special feel, like a mini Lamborghini type of experience. All those leather and those decals, I just like it a lot more. It's also a lot lighter. There's a nephew of the DS3, which is mini. It comes also as a convertible, but without the remaining roof. So that means that you have, especially in the closed formation, a lot less room than you would have in the Abarth. Because it's just a lot shorter, so also the back seat is a little more limited, which I don't like. Another runner-up was the Volvo C70. So you have a cabrio coupe, so to say. So you have something that can slide the roof and still seats 4 people. A colleague of mine has one, a fabulous car, but a lot more heavy. I think they even go in that C70 coupe version with a nice engine, for example D5. I think you're 1500 kilograms or something like that. So that's quite a heavy car. Abarth is just over 1000 kilograms. And in functionality, I think you do not gain that much. So it's either Volvo or an Abarth, and I think an Abarth is a lot more special. So that's it about the contenders in a nutshell. There are of course a lot of other very nice cars. You could also have convertibles, but most of them are 2-seaters. You could consider a 911 or a Jaguar XK, which can also be had as 4-seaters with a convertible option. But they are a lot more expensive and also will cost you on the long run a lot more. So not only to acquire them, but also to maintain them and keep them and insure them, etc. And for a convertible, I don't think you need that excessive power that those other cars do offer. I think the Abarth gives you a lot of special experience. The choice was to have as much experience as possible for a nice budget. And also on the so we have a carport, and you can place the Abarth easy on the carport and still have some room on your entry pad to put also another car behind it. And you could do the same with a 911, make no mistakes, or an XK, but then it would be very close fit in my opinion. Whereas with the Abarth you have so much room. Also it's not that wide of a car, so for example if you have it standing there and you have to get your bike across it, then it's very easy with the board, and a lot more hassle with the 911 or the XK wood. That's something to take into consideration. All those cars are very nice cars, make no mistakes. It could be that one of those cars is a lot more beneficial to your situation. Foundering car out. So this foundering car video I will discuss, should you go for the 595 Competizione or the 595 Turismo, if you could choose one of those. There's also often a regular 595, and the Turismo is a little bit above that with more power than the regular 595, and the Competizione is more of a dedicated performance type of car. So if you look at the differences between the Turismo and the Competizione, Turismo offers you more luxury accessories, so it's there to cover big distances in relative luxury, and the Competizione often has a little bit more of dedicated. So for example, the Turismo would come with leather seats and upholstery. The Competizione also comes with saddles, more sporting type of seats, so they are more hugging seats. So if you go fast around the corners, it's a benefit. Also, if you look at the suspension, both get upgraded suspension, but the Competizione has stiffer springs, so that also a little bit lower, so that gives you more direct feel, but of course also will decrease comfort levels. If you look at the horsepower, the generation that I bought, the 595 of the Competizione and the Turismo had the same 160 horsepower output, but in later generations the Turismo had 165 horsepower and the Competizione 180 horsepower, so you have a benefit on the side of the Competizione. You get an additional 15 horsepower and a little bit more Newton meters as well, oftentimes. But it should not always be the case. And why is this? If you look at different versions, the Competizione and the Turismo have the same engine, and that same engine means that if there is a deficit between the Turismo and the Competizione, then it is because the Turismo is a little bit more detuned, and oftentimes the torque is at lower revs, so there the detune is not that proficient. So oftentimes therefore they have the same torque, only a little bit more horsepower at the top range of the Competizione. So in my opinion, if you are going for a very sportive driving consideration, I would say go with the Competizione in the head spec configuration, so that's in purest form and also very sporty. If you do go for the experience and you want to also have the open 595s, the 595C, as I did, I would go with Turismo. So the Turismo gives you still a little bit more comfort, which is nice if you do just want some nice touring. And also if you have a very stiff car, this is not something I would consider comfortable. And the Turismo is that you get a lot of added functionality, and even the horsepower deficit can be solved in the stage 1 tune. So you get more gains with the Turismo in a relative sense than with the Competizione, because it's the same engine. And also you could get oftentimes the exhaust systems of the Competizione also on the Turismo. So for example, on the Competizione of my generation, then you could have the Monza record exhaust as standard, but I got it also the same exhaust in the Turismo, so that's a thing to consider. Then you have and the sound and the comfort and the luxury of the Turismo, and they are equally fast after stage 1 tune. So that's what I would recommend. If you go all out sporty, then oftentimes the Competizione also has the option to get a limited slip differential, which I don't know is always available on the Turismo. Then that could be a good way to approach it. And also then you already have the saddle seats, etc. But then this could be a beneficial trade-off. But even if you want performance, might want to choose the Turismo. Why is that? Because the Turismo is a lot cheaper than the Competizione, and for the money that you save, you can do a stage 1 tune and some other modification and have a faster car than a standard Competizione. So something to consider. If money is no object, of course, the Competizione can also be tuned the same way, and then you have some additional benefits as well. And you might not need the luxury of the Turismo. Instead, you just want to have the sporting experience. Hope this helps. Foundering Car out.